Oh, g'day. My name is John, and this is another video in a series of videos that I'm doing on these little Chinese diesel air heaters. And the subject of today's video is a strip down. So I'm going to strip down this particular heater and just show you how it's done and what's inside and what's involved. Okay, the first thing is we take off the front here. Sometimes it's screwed, sometimes it's just a push fitting, sometimes you have little catches here, and sometimes you don't. So this one's got the catches, so we just remove that and we remove the top. So inside we've got the little heater, here we've got the fan, we've got the ECU, we've got the glow plug, and over here is the temperature sensor. So most of these now, we don't have to remove the back part, we can just remove the heater from the case. But before we do that, we have to turn it over and we have to remove this silicon gasket. So we just take the silicon gasket off. So it comes off, and now we can remove the heater. So we just gently take it out. Be careful of the ECU. So we just wriggle it out, and there we've got the heater. Okay, first thing I like to do is, this here is the electronic control unit. It's a sensitive part, so the first up we'll remove that. Now some people like to take the plugs out first, and some people like to take the control unit off and then remove the plugs. But I like to take the plugs out first. So first up, you need to be aware of the polarity, I suppose, of these plugs. Now these two here are interchangeable. They're a 3-pin plug and interchangeable. So you need to mark them, and so you know which one is which. So what I'll do is I'll just get a little bit of tape, and I'll put it on here, and this one comes for the temperature, so I'll just put a temperature there so I know which is which. Now, easy to get them off, you just push the little thing and just wriggle them off nice and gently. This one here is the fan. On the back side, we remove this one. This is the glow plug one. Now what we do is we'll gently remove this, and that is hex set. Some of them come with star screws, some with hex, and some with just Phillips. So we take that one off. Now just make sure we put it aside gently. This particular heater actually has an earth to the ECU, which comes onto the base of the body. Now some of them don't. So remove that. I'll just show you here while we're at it. So if we want to remove, we just put the finger underneath under each side, and we can lift off the cover. And here you've got integrated circuits. You've got the different, I suppose, all the different transistor circuits and what have you. But anyway, just put that back, just gently clip that back again. So we've removed the screw. Now there's 2 pins here, you just in here. So you just put your fingers on there and just gently squeeze them, and then that whole unit can come off. Inside here, just make sure that this is in the correct position. This here is a sensor to pick up the magnetic impulse from the fans. Now sometimes that can slip out of it, so just be careful with that. Alright, I'll just put the top back on. we'll just put that away safely. Okay, next we can remove the temperature sensor here, which goes onto the body. So we just clip that out here, and we can clip it out the back there and gently remove the temperature sensor. Now, if you have a tool like this, what you can do now is you can remove the glow plug. If you don't have a tool like this with the slot in it, and you're pulling down the heater, you can actually pull the glow plug out later, but I'll show you that. But first, pulling the glow plug out, you've just got to gently tease this up. Now, when you push it, the glow plug is very, very fragile, so you hold the wires and you push this back against the wires like that. Then you get your glow plug removal tool with the slot in it, and you gently come in here and make sure it's positioned right. And holding it very square, you just gently crack the glow plug. Crack, that's it. And gently remove that. Now you remove the glow plug by hand, just by gently turning it. You've got to be ever so gently, because it's a ceramic part here and it's so easily broken, so you can very easily break it here. Okay, we'll just put that aside now. So here we've got the fan. Now, see these little bits here? So there's a little bit of metal on the fan. That's a balancing system. So, and under here, you can see the magnets. So these are the magnets for the, quite a strong little magnet. So the sensor picks up that and then can tell the rotation of the fan. Okay, the next thing we do is we're going to remove this part here, the combustion chamber part. So on this one, it's a 3mm hex. So we gently crack them. Now remember from what your dad taught you, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So we were unloosening, so we go to the, so click, just a bit. And we do it opposite. So you always do opposite, the same as when tightening up, you do opposite. So we crack it. Crack. And crack. And then we just undo these. So, alright, instead of wasting time, I'll come back when I've got them all out. Okay, just removing the last bolt. Now put these together. These are long bolts, and there are shorter ones inside. Now we gently remove the intake and the fan assembly. So, and the gasket. Alright. This here is the outer fan. This blows air over the heat exchanger here, and this here is the inner fan, and this what sucks in air from outside into the combustion chamber. Now sometimes you will see nicks in this, and what that is when they can't balance the fan, or both fans actually, you've got to balance both fans. When they can't balance the fans with just by putting a couple of little clips on here, they'll actually take nicks out of here and to balance it off. So if you see little nicks out of here, don't be concerned, that's just to balance the fan system. So what we want to see is it spins freely, there's no bearing noise in it, and all okay, so we can put that aside as well. Now on here there's a gasket. Now every different type of heater from the different manufacturers, you'll get different gasket. This one here is a nice metal gasket, so it's a long-lasting gasket. Sometimes you'll just get cheap paper gaskets that you'll have to take off with a knife by just running it under with a knife. but you run the risk of breaking those. So probably it'd be good to have a set of gaskets before you pull one of these down. This one is normally okay. It's the inside one that's normally destroyed. But as I said, some are good quality metal ones that are reusable. Some are cheap ones that you destroy once you take them out. Okay, so there's our gasket. Now, as I mentioned before, if you don't have one of these, you can remove the glow plug at this situation, or this, by using a 12mm socket, so you can get it up. Now it's good to grind off the edges of the socket so you can get the spanner in here, and then you can remove the glow plug and you can take the glow plug out from here. Just crack it. All you have to do is crack it. Now once you crack it, then you remove it by hand very gently and then take it out. Okay, next we'll remove the burner chamber, which is this part here. Now there's 4 screws, the same, and this one it's a hex screws. So what we have to do is we have to crack it first. So remember again, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So just crack these opposites. Now you can do different methods, you know, some people do it this way, it doesn't matter. Alright, instead of you wasting time while I undo this, I'll just pull them out and I'll come back. Alright, this is the last bolt. So take it out. Now there will be a split washer on it, so you need a pair of your long nose pliers so you can get the split washer out. Now these are short bolts. So we've got the short bolts and the long bolts. So the short bolts are for the inside and for the long bolts are on the outside. Now these days with mobile phones with cameras, it's a good idea when you first do that yourself, that you take photos so you can always come back. Now one area here is this, when you pull this out, this here goes one way, so the little lug part goes on the inside, but if you take a photo, you take this off, then you're not going to remember how you did it. So if you take a photo of it, then you know which way it goes. Okay, in here is the burner chamber. Here's the gasket. This gasket here, this one here often breaks when we remove it. This one here is surprising. It had a good metal gasket on the outside, but it's got a rather cheap fibre one on the inside. This area here, if you get soot and carbon build up, you'll have to clean this. So you can clean this with a wire brush and a bit of a scraper, you know, a screwdriver. And this all has to be cleaned. It will really build up with carbon and soot, particularly if you're one of these people who have been running a mixture of oil in your diesel. So it is the oil which leaves enormous amounts of residue. And as I've said before, yes, you can run these on your canola oil and your peanut oil and your snake oil and your engine oil, but you'll pay it in the long run with high amounts of soot and carbon build up in here. Okay, so that's the combustion chamber. Here is the burner. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to remove the screen, and this is the starting screen, so we'll take that out. Here's my screen remover. There's the screen. Now this will get carbon build up over a period of time, and particularly, you know, if you haven't got the heater set up and you're running you know, incorrect fuel, or sometimes if you run winter diesel, it'll get a lot of muck in the screen. Generally it can be cleaned sometimes, but oftentimes it's throw it away. They're way less than $1, so it's worth your while to go and buy a few screens, and then you can put in a fresh screen. The heater will not start if there's carbon on this screen, or if this hole here is blocked up with carbon or soot, or fly or a bee or something like that. When the heater first does its initial startup, this is the diesel coming in here. It comes in here and it goes over this this screen. So this screen is in here, and the diesel flows through here, and it gets atomized by running through the screen. Then the glow plug, which sits in here, this gets red hot and it ignites the diesel in here. Now once the diesel is burning, then the rest of the diesel comes around here, around the outside of the burner chamber, and the air comes in through here and is swirled in. And this then here becomes like a giant blowtorch. Now in the bottom here, there's also a screen which goes right around, so that right around the bottom here. Now if you find that you've got a lot of carbon built up here, as I said, the best you can do is you can get a wire brush in here and clean out as much as you can. But if the carbon is in the screen in here, the only option you've got is to get some MAP gas like this. So you get this at a plumbing supply store. You want a pair of vice grips. Lock onto the heater. Get your MAP gas and burn inside. So come right inside and burn it up inside, and that way there, any I suppose tight carbon that's still got an oily residue in it will be burnt off, and you've got then a better chance of tapping it out and getting the carbon out of it. If you can't and it's too bad in here, then your only option is to buy yourself a new burner, because to my knowledge I haven't seen anybody who actually sells the screens for in here as a spare part, and two, it's beyond the capabilities of the most do-it-yourselfers, because what you have to do is you have to get in and you have to grind this weld off right around here. So this particular weld here has to be ground off. This part of the tube has to be removed. You'd have to remove then the screen, which goes right around the outside here. Then you have to TIG weld back this metal tube. So, as I said, beyond the capabilities of I suppose most do-it-yourself people. Now, in the past, when an e-dispatcher burner might cost you, a genuine one, maybe $400 or $500, you can buy these for I think about $35. So it's not critical now, and you can just throw this away. But having said that, also these have a lifespan, and they will run for I think 5 years or something like that of good use. And after that, as I said, you have to throw them away, and the main reason you have to throw them away is that the screen in here is so full of carbon that it becomes unusable. Okay, so we've done a service on our heater. We've got rid of all the carbon. It's nice and shiny, as you can see in there again. Our gasket is okay, so we don't have to replace this particular gasket. We've cleaned out our burner, and so we put it back together again. So basically opposite to what we did before. Now you've just got to be careful getting that this rubber part in. We make sure that I've got it the right way. It just slides in here on the groove. We just push that down. Now we put our bolts in. And just wriggle them around a little bit to get them set up. And just get them started and work your way around. Don't tighten them up yet, so just get them started. Work. That's it. once you've got them all in, then snub it down, but go opposite. So never around in a circle, always go opposite to take them down, and take them down in little increments. Opposites. Okay, so once we've got them down there, then we have to snub them up, and the same thing again, we do them opposite. So we snub it up tight. You know, you can use that, or you can use this. Whatever suits you, it doesn't matter. Just snub them all up tight. They don't have to go too tight. And that's all done. Now, next thing is we get our fan mechanism. Just check it spins well. We get our gasket. Gently mount that on. Now we use our long bolts. Here again, as before, just put them in a little bit, always opposite to start. And run them down. So we get them down opposite first and then snub them up. Alright, instead of wasting time, I'll do this and I'll come back. Okay, I've tightened up all the bolts. I'm just snubbing down the last one here now. Not too tight, just snub. And there we have it. Right, what we do now is we need to insert our starter screen, which is this little thing here. So this is the glow plug screen. I'm using my very expensive special tool here, this multi-purpose tool, to insert it. Put it in there, push it right down. Now we insert our glow plug. Here again, very gently here, so you've got to be very careful putting this in here. So it's all done by hand, nice and steady, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So we're tightening it, so we go to the right, then we'll get it in, put our homemade applicator or socket spanner here, make sure we get it nice and gentle in there. And one thing people do is when they put it in, they don't get it centered onto the actual bolt. So make sure it's right down onto the bolt part. Very gently and upright, just snub it and then carefully remove it. And there we go. Right, next thing I like to do now is we'll put back the ECU. So it all looks good, you know. Everything's fine on it. There's no, I can see no broken circuit board or anything like that. As you can see, this particular one here, see how it's all, this part here is all melted. I accidentally knocked the power off this one, so it went into straight to a shutdown without the fan running, so it rapidly overheated before I could I knew I'd done it, and before I could get the cover off and to blow cold air in here, it had already started to melt here, but thankfully it didn't destroy anything in the ECU here. Just clip that back on. Now gently put that back in. Remember, this one here has an earthing strap on it. Now, probably doesn't matter, the earthing strap can go on the top or to the bottom. It doesn't matter because it uses the pin. So we gently push it down in here. Put the earthing strap on. Tighten this down. Make sure the fan still spins freely. We can bring the glow plug cover back, holding it, push it in. Now, the glow plug comes up here. Always push against it, so don't push without. So you put your finger, I like to put my thumb up here, so I'm pushing against one another, so I'm not putting load on the circuit board here. Now remember which one here, so this is for the temperature sensor, this one here is the fan. Here again, when you push it in, push this way and put your finger on it, so you're pushing against each other, you're not trying to push up here and you can crack the board. So push against each other, click. Now we can come to here. We can put this one on, same thing, it actually goes underneath here. Line it up, finger against pressure, so pushing from here, holding the back pressure against there, click. So there we go. Now we can get, this goes in here. Our sensor goes down there like that. So make sure it's just in gently. So you've got to make sure it's actually centered down in here, not up on the ridge, so it's down, and then just bring that back and click it in. Okay, so we're all done there. Now we can put it back in the case. Slide it in. We just put this back in here. Now this can go on either side. You can put the wiring on either side. As you see on this side, there's a removable bung here, so if it suits you to have the wiring at this side, well then you can just move it around, there's no problem. Okay, we've done that. Fan still spins. We'll put the top back on, clip it into position. Check again, fan still spins. Always check the fan. The end bit clips on. We turn it over and we put the silicon gasket this way. So silicon gasket back on. And we're done. All done.